Mei Lin didn't look up when she heard the front door open. Her fingers continued their rhythm against the keyboard, the scent of jasmine tea curling through the afternoon air. Kai hovered in the doorway, his practice bag heavy on his shoulder. The clock on the wall seemed to mock him. "You're late again, Mei Lin," his stepmom said. Practice ran long, he muttered, the hardwood floor cool under his socks. He was a soccer player at Sky High Academy. Mei Lin finally glanced up, her eyes sharp. "You say that every Tuesday?" Kai shrugged, letting his bag fall by the couch. "Because it's true every Tuesday." He could feel her watching him as he crossed to the kitchen, the weight of her gaze like a physical touch. Kai was taken in by Mei Lin after an accident that claimed the life of both his parents when he was 6 years old. She was a wealthy woman and she had been taking care of him since after his parents passed. Behind him, Mei Lin's chair creaked as she shifted, her eyes never leaving him. The fridge hummed softly as he opened it and grabbed a bottle of water. "You should eat something," she called out. "I left dumplings in the steamer." Kai twisted the cap off, the plastic crackling in his grip. The dumplings sat in the bamboo steamer, still warm, their skins glistening under the kitchen lights. He poked one with a chopstick, watching the broth seep out in a slow, tantalizing dribble. Mei Lin's heels clicked across the tiles as she leaned against the counter beside him, close enough that he could smell her perfume. "You're too thin," she murmured, reaching out to adjust his tie. Her fingers lingered a second too long. Kai froze, the chopstick hovering mid-air. "You're not my mother," he said quietly while backing away from her, though the words lacked conviction. Mei Lin laughed, low and throaty, as if she'd expected that exact response. "No," she agreed softly, "but I'm all you have." Kai swallowed, his pulse thudding unevenly. The kitchen suddenly felt stuffy and suffocating. He turned around to leave the kitchen, but Mei Lin hurriedly placed a hand on his shoulder, looking into his eyes with burning lust as she tried stopping him from leaving. He shook her hand off his shoulder and pocketed his hands while walking towards the kitchen door. Mei Lin stepped smoothly into his path, her hip bumping against the counter to block him. "Where do you think you're going?" she teased, picking one of the dumplings. She took a deliberate bite, her lips glistening with broth. Kai's breath hitched. He took an involuntary step back, his shoulder blades pressing against the refrigerator door. Mei Lin chewed slowly, her eyes locked onto his, the intensity in them making his stomach twist. "You always eat too fast. That's why you always have indigestion," she murmured, swallowing before seductively licking a stray drop of broth from her lower lip. The kitchen clock ticked loudly in the silence. Kai tightened his grip, his fingers trembling slightly. "I have homework," he said, forcing his voice steady. Mei Lin smirked, tossing her hair over her shoulder as she leaned in, her breath warm against his cheek. "Liar," she whispered. The word sent a shiver down his spine. Before he could react, her hand closed around his wrist, her thumb pressing into his pulse point. His heart was beating extremely fast. "Your heart's racing," she observed, her tone light, as if commenting on the weather. Kai jerked his arm away. But she held firm, her nails digging in just enough to sting. "Let go," he hissed. But Mei Lin only tilted her head, her black eyes gleaming with something unreadable. The back of his knees hit the edge of the kitchen island, trapping him between the counter and her. Mei Lin's free hand came up to brush a stray lock of hair from his forehead, her touch oddly tender. "You're so tense," she murmured. "When was the last time someone touched you?" Kai froze when he heard the question. His body was heating up as his imaginations ran wild. She positioned herself in a way that made Kai want to pounce on her like a hungry tiger. She leaned in close to him and placed her hand on his chest, his heart racing wildly. She stepped back a bit to observe his reaction with a satisfied smile on her face. He quickly rushed behind her, his warm breath touching her ears, which made her shiver in pleasure. He put his hands around her, which startled her a bit. Wasn't he avoiding her touch just a while ago? Kai had always had eyes on his stepmom but had been afraid to make a move, but since she came to him first, he decided to have his way with her. He grabbed her behind and pulled her close to himself, planting a firm kiss on her lips. She wrapped her hands around his neck and accepted the kiss, enjoying it. She brought up a suggestion saying that they should head to her bedroom, which he readily agreed to. She led him out from the kitchen into her bedroom, walking seductively in the hallway. When they got to the bedroom, she asked him, "Are you sure this is what you want?" He didn't respond. He just pushed her on the bed and climbed on. His hands was all over her in seconds. The sound of intimacy filled the air. They had an intimate affair.